Hello, students. Welcome to Unit 6 for MOL 5361. Dr. Romo here, and I wanted to pop in and provide you with a quick update related to the content for this week. In this module, we are looking at global leadership and the aspects of gender and how it relates to working in intercultural environments. And so with that, if you look at our activity summary, you'll see we have a few things due throughout the week. We have 2 discussions due on Wednesday with a reply post due on Sunday. So go ahead and go in there and complete those in the same format we've been doing this entire session. Remember, I'm looking for evidence that you have read, reflected, responded, and engaged with the content. And so in there, make sure you're really getting in there and diving deep into the readings. You're utilizing sources in your replies and you're engaging with your peers in a unique manner. Both of them pertain to the idea of gender and intercultural communication and looking at women in global leadership positions and how that pertains to different cultural societies and things like that. On Sunday, you also have a journal on gender and intercultural communication where you're looking at the aspects of intercultural communication and the intersection of how gender relates to that in global settings. And so I wanted to spend a little time going through some aspects of that journal. So in the journal on Canvas, there's a prompt. It's a scenario that is provided to you related to a case situation about a CEO being named for a big organization. And so go ahead and read through that particular situation, and then you're going to write a journal on that. And so in the journal, you'll need to write at least 500 words to share your thoughts and analysis of the case. And essentially what you're doing is reviewing the case study, you're researching and finding 3 academic outside sources, and you're providing a solution to the situation. You're sharing your thoughts in an academic manner, and as well providing an analysis and perspective that you would take on that case study. So please keep that in mind. You will be needing to use the required readings this week as well as outside research. And the minimum word count is 500 words. So as long as you hit that, you should be good to go. A lot of students do write a little more, but that does not mean if you write only 500 words, it would implicate your grade in any manner as long as you've thoroughly addressed the situation in the journal. And as we're looking through that, I wanted to spend a few moments going through looking at women in leadership, some of the public perceptions and challenges, as well as women as global leaders. And this comes from a lot of our required studies this week. And one thing we wanted to focus on is to understand the uniqueness in this situation. So outside of the US or westernized Western civilizations and other aspects and things like that, we may get into situations as global leaders when you're working in intercultural situations where it may be unusual for a woman to be in a leadership position. And so understanding that is important. And so today I have placed up here some of the statistics that are found in the Pew Research study in 2015 that's provided to you in Canvas to kind of help us understand at a little deeper level the challenges that could be faced in business settings and leadership perspectives for women. And so with that, most of the research found that most Americans believe women are just as capable as men in leadership roles, whether that be in governmental organization, corporate boardrooms, or nonprofit organizations. But there is still many of the people in the study found that they still view a double standard, and women often have to work in an environment where they need to prove themselves and to reach top leadership positions. This happens even more from what the study showed in global leadership positions, meaning organizations that work in global environments and work integrating and conducting business with different cultures that may have different views and perspectives of women in leadership roles. And so within the survey, it also revealed a split in expectations for the future. And in looking at that, you could see that over half of the respondents believe that men will still continue to hold the majority of executive roles in these type of global business situations, going into different cultural environments that view women in a different perspective when it comes to leadership, while 44% of the people are optimistic that women will eventually achieve equal representation. And then kind of looking at it from a US American perspective, 73% of people still believe they will see a female president within their lifetime in the US, which speaks very positively towards the thoughts and perspectives of American culture and women in leadership roles, regardless of the cultural environments they're working in. So when we look at this and we can see that this shift really is particularly relevant in the area of global leadership, which kind of looks at how we can integrate these perspectives in a more unique fashion. And so that's what it brings us to looking at women as global leaders. So when we view women and we can see women in a global context, a lot of women leadership is shaped by the historical, cultural, and situational factors. So when we look at it at a global scale, it's important to take some key perspectives that leadership from women is deeply influenced from those historical, cultural, and institutional factors. And to know and to understand, which was found in our Women as Global Leaders reading this week, that women will still face structural barriers such as gender bias, perhaps lack of mentorship depending on the company, as well as challenges in balancing work and family life. But this falls short in comparison to the amount of examples of successful women leaders that have made an impact in business as well as social change throughout society, globally and here in the US. But looking at that from a theoretical perspective, I wanted to bring some insight into how women lead and some of the leadership theories that have pertained to having specific um, influence in women leadership studies. And so transformational leadership is one of them. A lot of studies related to transformational leadership have found that many women um, are naturally show and demonstrate skills and traits that align with this leadership style in the area of collaboration, inclusive leadership, as well as mentoring and building up the people that they are working for. So a lot of studies have shown that yes, gender is influential in the idea of taking a collaborative and inclusive approach to building teams, maintaining that culture and success and happiness amongst and balance and harmony amongst the team. Another theory that comes to mind is also social role theory. This looks at and knows and understands, as well as acknowledges that there are still gender expectations that influence leadership opportunities and expectations for women. This is not a negative or a positive aspect of the theory. It just acknowledges that, yes, in some settings, there is still a heavily influential factor that gender expectations will influence leadership opportunities as well as expectations for women. This is exasperated or seen more significantly in organizations that have a global or international perspective. In negotiating settings or working in high leadership settings where you'll be negotiating at a table in an intercultural environment that may have different perspectives of women, having a seat at those tables will show a high evidence of the use of social role theory, meaning our own personal values and ideological perspectives of this from whatever cultural background or region that we're from in this global setting will play a role. That also coincides with intersectionality. Intersectionality looks at women and showing women that are from diverse backgrounds or inclusive cultural environments to women having a seat at the table in key leadership positions. Those women may face additional challenges and social barriers to leadership. And all that theory does is acknowledge the fact that women that come from diverse or inclusive backgrounds face additional challenges in this sense. So while we can see progress is being made in this area, there are still some issues that continue to shape the path for a key role of women in leadership positions. And so as we're looking through the content this week, let's be mindful of the biblical perspectives we can take in shaping this landscape to be inclusive of all people, as well as acknowledging the unique differences and values that people bring to the table, regardless of their gender. So knowing that sometimes we may have to address biases is important, but working to improve cultures of mentorship opportunities as well as institutional support for all employees pursuing leadership roles is very, very helpful in this sense. So having these conversations is important because leadership is not just about the individual capability, but also the systems that enable and provide equal opportunities. So as we think about these and reflect on these perspectives, especially when we're working on our journal, consider how leadership expectations and opportunities have changed over time and what we can do to promote better equity and inclusion in a leadership landscape worldwide. So I just wanted to kind of pop in here and share that with you and bring that to your attention, just kind of food for thought as we're moving through this content. Let's not forget we have two assignments due on Wednesday. Those are our two discussion board posts. Our replies are also for those discussions due on Sunday, as well as one journal related to gender and intercultural communication. I've really enjoyed going through a lot of your content this session, and we're looking forward to continuing that process as we are getting close to wrapping up our session together. We have 2 weeks left after this week, and if you need anything, feel free to reach out. Have a great week. I've been praying for all of you along the way, and will continue to do so, and know that the Lord is going to help guide you as you continue your journeys here at York University. God bless.